Really? Oh my god, what? What? Damn!
More shocking than the EKG. Young Kilo G. Yeah, you know me. Be Thor with the magic
Yes!
key.
Oh my goodness. Somebody clip that, please. Sometimes, bro, I have not eaten up until that point, and it just
You know what I'm
happens.
saying?
It's
Like,
3
bro, I'm
o'clock.
sitting down right now. Yeah.
I'm eating, bro. I'm eating. If I'm sitting, I am eating. I am chilling. Nice wall back there, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, baby, would you mind putting that over here? Totally forgot
You know what
about
I'm actually
that.
about to do? Is I'm gonna get a bigger, an empty frame,
Yeah.
and put a, and then just put a green mat in it
Oh wow.
for a green screen, and just put whatever I want in there in the back.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Thank you, baby.
It was like watching Colbert, like some comedy show or something. You know, like a late night comedy show.
Yeah.
I was like, is that a green? Is they window a green screen?
Wow.
I was like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
That's hecka funny. I guess sometimes like their windows be green screens.
Well, you know how they have like the cityscape usually on those late night talk shows?
Oh yeah.
Big cityscape. It was like that, but just his window.
Oh, just his window. Gotcha.
So it was like the city and the lights was blinking. And I was like, that has to be a green screen. That's not like
yeah.
I'm like, simple solutions.
Simple solutions for complex problems. Why not, bro? Why freaking not? So we're actually live right now. Just want to let you know that.
Oh hey,
That is a thing.
what are we on Twitch?
Yes, we're on Twitch. Wow, this is actually better. Take up less bandwidth on my screen anyways. Shoot. So I finally got it up to just be right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm streaming through OBS right now, and it's taking forever. It's taking forever to get this OBS the right way for this computer. And
Live or like just regular OBS Studio?
Just regular OBS Studio. So I did some research, and I want to introduce this first, but I do want to get into this conversation that we're about to have because I think it goes in line with what we're talking about today. So you already know what it is, man. It's your man, Summer Man, like the grand total. Not that I think that I am. And we here today with my man Ghasi. Okay, a few things about this man. Me and this man been gaming for a very long time. He's a rapper. He's a poet. All right. He's a dancer. This man dances his ass off. All right. He's also the owner and the creator of the Discord that we use for this channel, the Zaibatsu Lounge. You know what I'm saying? I may be doing administrative stuff, but it's originally his server, and I asked him if we could use it because I want to be able to build with people in the community. You know, that's important to me. And to me, I think work speaks for itself. I want to speak with my work, really, when it comes down to it. So, you know, he is a good friend of mine, a long friend of mine, a very talented friend of mine, and we've had, I think, like some really dope conversations. We had some really fun experiences playing games together, and we really connected and we really bonded, you know, over time. And I think that we have a really deep and real friendship, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, you are one of my best friends. Like, when I think about people who are like really actually good friends of mine, close friends of mine, people who are like want to actively call for sure, you're one of those people. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I want to stay connected with Dunce. Like, if nothing else, if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, all right, me and this man gonna be over here talking, and we're gonna be getting it in. All right, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna be like, look, we in Antarctica. I know it's cold out here, bro, but we got a little village set up.
I don't know if I'm going out that deep, but if you have enough fresh fish, if you know how to fish up there, I'll come for that.
Hey, that's for sure, man. That's for sure. So yeah, is there anything that you want to tell the folks about yourself before we go ahead and get into this conversation?
I mean, not particularly.
Okay.
You know, I'm just a guy out here living his life, trying to, you know, not go insane with the people that I live with during these COVID times.
Oh my goodness.
That's really it. Just trying to enjoy everybody I'm around, and then eventually see more humans. That's it.
Like, there you go. That sound like a plan to me, man. For real. Sound like a heck of a plan to me. I'm trying to do the same thing. Okay. And the conversation that we're having today is growing up, being a black gamer, and that could be at any point because we're still growing right now. And in speaking about that, I want to go ahead and finish what we were talking about a second ago with this OBS. All right. So I did some research, and it turns out that OBS, I think, is a more total kind of package than OBS Live because OBS Live is a fork and it's not going to get upgraded with OBS features. And the developers haven't really shown interest in taking the new OBS features as they add them and put them in. You know what I'm saying? OBS Live is a good platform for what it does, but you can do the same kind of things with OBS, and folks say that it actually runs less, like less hardware, hard drive on your computer. Hey, Vix Gaming was good, bro. Man, how you doing, bro? Vix Games. I'm sorry, Vix Games. Ooh, woo. Shout out to Vix Games. That's dude who was playing the other day. But people say that it's less intensive on your computer than OBS Live. So instead of getting OBS Live or OBS Studio, I decided to go ahead and get that base version of OBS, and it's been working well. It's been working well. Like, it's simple, but it's in depth, and I can really change a lot of settings. I mean, but honestly, bro, it's hella settings in this shit. And I was like, I don't know what is up, what is left, what is right, what is down, or inside out.
No, I was playing with it a lot. Did you get the VST plugin?
No, I have vanilla.
I'll send you a link. I believe it's called the VST plugin. It just has a bunch of audio plugins for you to play around with, a lot more than what the base thing would give you.
Yeah.
So I'll send you that. That's free. I'm sure it's on like GitHub or something somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that helps. And just, I was playing around with, like I was talking about the green screen thing. It's like,
yeah.
Gonna get like something like this, but this is small, but something bigger to put on the wall back there, just so I can play around with images and things like that. But
that'd be dope. And I mean, and OBS is the way to go for doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, OBS is one of the best stream platforms out there, hands down. I love it. I think in reality, OBS supports probably like the most streamers globally because a lot of streamers use OBS even if they don't talk about it.
And who's like really doing it. But yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have fun setting all this up because a lot of this equipment I already had. Like recording equipment and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, might as well use this for different stuff. But I don't feel like I'm gonna be super hard in it. Like, I'm chilling. My friends want to come and hang out and watch me play Hades or something and talk or whatever. That's fine by me. That's all I really want to do.
I feel you.
But because I was thinking about doing like the fighting game thing you've been doing. And I'm like, that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Oh my god, bro!
Tournaments and everything else,
bro. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, but it is a lot of work. I'll tell you that right now. But it's cool though. It's fun. You know what I'm saying? Because it gives people a space to like get better, and it makes me better. It makes me a better player. And I've been playing games recently that I never thought about playing, or that I only thought about playing a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. So I've been having a lot of fun with it.
I didn't play fighting games like that until recently.
Man, you know what? I didn't play fighting games. We played Smash together competitively, and that was the first time I really competed.
But the ones me and you connected on, and we gonna out ourselves because I feel like in the gaming community, everybody be hating on these games.
Yeah.
But Soul Calibur and Dead or Alive.
I mean, those are those are my games. If they were competitive, bro, I would play them. If I can get more than one match with somebody, I would play it. But it's a different side of the competitive community. All right, it's on the Tekken side, but it's further out than the Tekken side. And people be hating on Tekken. You know what I'm saying? People be hating on Tekken bad, bro. It's like you got Tekken. Tekken's the only 3D fighter that they really consider as a fighting game for real. And then you got 2D fighters or anime fighters. And most people play anime fighters. All right.
Right. Well, that's a lot of the newer people.
Yeah, especially because Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
I wouldn't have been playing all these fighters we've been playing. Like Guilty Gear, I always was interested and heard about Guilty Gear, tried out like demos and stuff, and was like, meh. But playing Dragon Ball taught me a bunch of simple stuff. Like they said, it's like an entry level fighting
Mm-hmm.
game, right?
It is.
And I know a lot of people don't necessarily want that to be more the norm, but for
Mm-hmm.
somebody like me who like was not really just trying to get into a fighting game, one, not really knowing the basics, and then learning all these combos and stuff, it was like too much for me to get into
Yeah.
when I was playing, and I didn't really have anybody to play with.
Mm.
Like you was talking about, like growing up a black gamer,
Yeah.
like ain't nobody was watching anime and all that with me. So it was
bro.
like if I was playing, me and you talked about this. It was like you play with a couple friends,
Mm-hmm.
you wear them out super bad,
Mm-hmm.
and they never want to play with you again. So
Yeah.
it's like
It's
you
like
and like maybe one or two other homies that you can find that'll play with you sometime.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
I didn't have like fighting game friends like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now that we got Parsec,
Yeah, Parsec is the best, bro. If my computer was better, I run Parsec and stream that thing because Parsec is the most beautiful app I have ever seen in my life. Okay, look, I don't care what people do with their games. If you make a fighting game, let me use Parsec. That's all I ask for. you don't even gotta have online,
or give
bro.
us rollback. Something.
Either give us rollback, bro, or let me use Parsec. That's it. Just make a solid experience.
I was like, man, I'm enjoying Dragon Ball, and so like I'm getting into the fighting game stuff, learning how to play other fighting games. But it's like every time I try to play something online, it's terrible. It's like
Man,
the frames are, and at first it was like, oh, this is pretty bad.
yeah,
But then once I played Parsec and had something that's way quicker,
yeah,
and then went back to the other games I was playing,
yeah,
I stopped kind of playing Dragon Ball now just because I don't want to be doing that.
It really makes a difference. And it's funny because you and I think got into Dragon Ball after this COVID stuff happened. And it's like until we played Parsec, I don't think either of us really had a good experience playing it live. And a lot of people have been playing online and they just been playing like it's good, you know. But when you get that live experience, it really makes a difference, you know. Especially when you get really deep into the game, you get to a really high skill level. Like I never knew how big of a difference it made until now. Like I knew in Smash it made a difference, like because sometimes the lag in Smash be horrible, okay, be crazy. You should be moving around like a block on the screen, like you can't even press nothing. Lag be so bad, and then they just kick you. But
not as bad when you're on Ganondorf. You're already moving like a snail. So.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Look, they don't even want to see us get into all that. I mean, maybe they do.
Exactly.
Maybe they do. But Ganondorf is crazy. But yeah. So on Dragon Ball FighterZ, when the movement is so fast, when the fighting is so fast, it makes like a really big difference. You know what I'm saying?
Huge.
And playing on Parsec, it's just like it's a game changer. Like we was playing like either last night or the night before. And it was like perfect, crystal freaking clear gameplay, no lag, bro. Maybe a couple lag spikes here and there, but it was rare. It was rare.
Well, every once in a while, Parsec will have its own internal stuff where its settings or your settings or whatever else are all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's fixable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's not like this is just what you're stuck with.
Yeah, exactly. You can change the settings, and they don't really have hella settings. They have enough settings so that it can be compatible with different kind of computers, but not so many settings where you get lost in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
the thing is, like the tournament the other day, right? It was like, did somebody essentially like basically have to take a DQ just because they internet, like their connection was just terrible?
They did. I think maybe 2 people had to be DQ'd, and they're on the same coast. But like sometimes that it just doesn't connect, and that's just whack. But with Parsec, that doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like if your internet is really that kind of trash, then of course you're not gonna connect. But you're gonna be DQ'd at the beginning if your internet is that trash. You know what I'm saying? Like you better get that shoestring out of here, boy.
It's not gonna be like a dip in the middle of the tournament.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's not like all of a sudden these 2 players specifically can't connect. It's like that motherfucker right there can't connect, so that motherfucker's out. Okay.
Exactly.
Not he was connecting with him and her and them and Zay.
Like we got 4
but y'all 2,
all is lagging super hard. Nope.
It's not gonna happen. And it gets so I'm not gonna go into it, but sometimes it gets so deep. Like I seen a connection test between 2 people. I'm not even gonna say who they are, but one person was like at 56 megabytes per second, and the other person was like at 23, and I'm just like, oh my god, bro. this this is so sad. Like, why am I looking at this?
Like this is over. This is done.
I'm like, I see why y'all can't connect, bro. Y'all two can never connect. Like, if one of y'all had really good internet, maybe one of y'all would be able to connect. Both of
Is
y'all,
it stuff is that bad every time, or is it both? Is it something with their connection?
nah. It's different things, bro. That's the crazy part. It's like it's different things. It's so many. It's like so in that specific instance, right? I think the thing that was holding them back is that both of their connection was slow as hell. Okay, but sometimes somebody has an Xbox Series S, right? And somebody has an old Xbox and then they can't connect, or you got to hold the home button or do some other kind of, you know what I'm saying, technology bull to try and get the stuff to work right. just so
I heard y'all
they
talking
can
about that.
connect.
It was like, all right, if you got an Xbox Series S, remember to hold the home button.
Remember to
I'm
hold
like,
the home
what
button.
does this have to do with Dragon Ball?
Exactly. And then sometimes I as the host get kicked out because people rematch it too fast and my stuff doesn't load in and I'm just like,
He didn't press A.
I didn't press, I gotta press A. Like why do I have to tap A to stay in the match? Why is that a thing if I'm viewing? Okay, why is that a thing, bro? Why is it in the code? That's all I'm asking. And it's, look, parsec heals that problem because they connect in. I'm automatically watching it. You know what I'm saying? And then I can just watch them play. I'm not gonna just get disconnected after the match. You know what I'm saying? If somebody can't connect, they're not gonna connect. They're not gonna connect, but they're not gonna just randomly disconnect. And it's, to me, it's like I really just want the company to fix the shit. Just give us rollback netcode or open the parsec doorways. The parsec doorways are open. I need to get a better computer to be able to run parsec and the game. And to be honest, once I have that capability, that's what I'll run instead because it's so much better than trying to play it on a console or even on a PC. You know what I'm saying? And the PC is the best way you can go. And at a time like this, it's especially important because of COVID, you know. And I think that people are gaming and consuming more digital media than they ever have before. But let's go ahead and bring it back a little bit, back to these starts as a black gamer. Tell us more about your history growing up gaming.
That's a long history because it's like I'm an only child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the beginning of my life, my mom will be like, "Go outside," but I like lived kind of outside of the main part of the city, so it's like, "Don't go too far." It's like ain't nobody out here. Like it's just me. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
coming back inside and I'm playing video games. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm gonna do. And so that ended up being most of my recreation,
Hmm.
and it also became like a big. It's also like I used to read a lot, and video games. Not that at the time they were really inspirational in the stories that they were telling at the time, but I saw the value in the medium
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, my English teachers are always talking about, the writer is trying to put you in these character shoes. You're supposed to be relating to them. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to feel like on some level, whether you're their friend or whether they're you or whatever, that you're feeling what they're feeling on some level.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like video games was the like main way to do that. And I was playing something simple. It was like, I think when I was thinking about this, I was playing like the original Zelda. I had like grabbed the original Nintendo out
Wow.
and pulled it back out and was like, man, I'm about to play this old school Zelda, and was playing it and was thinking like all the media that's around it, like all the shared history that people have around games and these stories, and just thinking like, man, what better way to put somebody in the shoes of a character than like a video game
Yeah.
that gives you, it's the best so far way to actually experience that. And even like for me it was The Last of Us that I
Mm-hmm.
think really pushed it because
Mm-hmm.
some mediums, they or certain pieces of art, they they go past the medium that they're in. So like
Mm-hmm.
people don't watch anime, but there's certain animes that like it's just good. It's
Yeah.
just good media. And The Last of Us is like that, where a lot of people who either don't play games or don't play games on hard, and everybody was like, "Hey, man, play that thing on hard," because the experience you're gonna get is just gonna be different. Like everybody was like, they struggling so hard. What they're doing is like, it's just so sad and so tough.
It is.
And so people that don't even play video games, like almost had never played video games before, was putting a lot of time and effort into learning how to play this game because of the story that they told. And for me, that was like the biggest, or not the biggest, but like one of the biggest things is like seeing the like potential in the medium of video games growing up.
Yeah.
But not having stuff like The Last of Us. And I mean, there was like, you know, Final Fantasy VII and stuff like that, but just doesn't hit the same with what we have now. And so I was my whole life I've been waiting for stuff like The Last of Us, you know, and like God of War.
That's interesting, yo. That's interesting. You know, I think that has, you know, certain parallels in my own story. I mean, I get into video games and other kind of media like comic books and anime. Really, it's a story. Like, I like the pictures, I like the imagery, but the story is the part of it that really like that excites me the most. You know what I'm saying? Because they tell such human stories in such fantastic ways. You know, and it's like the human elements, especially in something like The Last of Us, they're really, really deep. Like, you really feel for these characters because you get attached to them, you know what I'm saying, as if they were people, you know, the same way that you would get attached to people that you care about. And for me, I imagine like being in that kind of situation with the people that I care about, like, you know, and you got to make decisions in that game. You got to make decisions in that game. And it's like, damn, bro, like after all this shit we went through, this is what I got to decide right now.
That's the thing, right? Like with The Last of Us, it's that hyper realism where it's like I'm connecting to these people who are supposed to represent regular human people. But with so many of the games that we grew up with, whether it's, you know, you're playing as a squirrel or whatever else, you're experiencing a world that's like ways away.
That's true.
From the one we live in. It's not just like just a fantasy world. This is like a whole totally different.
Yeah, you're right.
Happening in here. And to me, that was really, that always kind of blew my mind too, because I feel like in a lot of mediums you can get, I mean, it's true for games too, but it's like you get a style or you have an era, you have a genre, and there's like the right and wrong things to do in that. And yeah, that's true with gaming too. But like with the indie scene, you know, there's like so many crazy, totally different ways to tell stories visually, with sonic, like whatever sound you're gonna use, and the shape of the story. Like all of these things, all the things that you couldn't do or wouldn't get away with or would be too far off to understand in other mediums, you can get away with in gaming. And I'm just like I've always been really curious about that, and really curious about the people who are able to come up with all these completely new ways to experience these spaces.
Yeah,
like successfully, and the fact that like anybody can step in and the majority of people will connect to that, even though the world and the mechanics are totally new to them.
That's true. And I think that's the beauty of gaming, because it has all of those elements inside of it. Is there a game he hates? Okay. So Amani wants to know if there's a game that you hate. I know that there are characters you hate, and also games that let you down. It's good. Those are good questions.
Games that let me down.
The Avengers. I
didn't touch that. I didn't even touch that.
I'm mad I touched it.
I didn't go in.
I shouldn't have. It's a waste of money. If it would have been free, I would love it. All right. If y'all look, I'm not gonna front y'all, man. If y'all was gonna make that game pay to play, you should have made the shit free in the first place. Okay. Jeez, I would have paid for this stuff if it was free, but not after I paid for the game.
I don't even know what I saw what it looked like and was like, I'm not touching that. And I don't even know the shape of the game. I don't even know what you're supposed to be doing.
beating stuff up.
But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't usually feel too let down by games. Usually, I kind of go into games like when I read books, I usually don't read the back.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't really want to know what the book because sometimes you'll read the back and the book is telling you you just got the too much of the story,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like now it's not really surprises or like.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of do that with games where when I go in, it's like yeah, I'll look up reviews and stuff like that, but I always expect the experience to be different than whatever I was hoping, unless they're like really pushing something like, um, Ghost of Tsushima. Love Ghost of Tsushima. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest, when it when I very first started Ghost of Tsushima, I thought I wasn't gonna like it.
Really?
I for sure thought I wasn't gonna like it because I had just come off of playing God of War,
Mm.
and I was like replaying God of War, and God of War is beautiful. The storytelling is, it's just like one of the best games, as
Mm-hmm.
far as like the structure of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pristine. And so I played a God of War, and then that comes out the same day. I jump straight off of God of War onto that. And the first scenes in Ghost of Tsushima are like they're actually not that clean, or at least on PlayStation 4. Like
Mm-hmm.
the faces look weird, and the characters don't look nearly as good as they said they would. As the
Mm-hmm.
game goes on, it gets a lot better,
Mm.
but it's usually only stuff like that bothers me. Where it's like it's gonna be this crazy story, it's gonna be this really amazing journey, and then it's just kind of a sandbox game, just another sandbox game with
Mm-hmm.
reasons to be shooting stuff or blowing stuff up or chopping stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't that,
Thank the
but
Lord.
um, that's what usually kind of lets me down.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of why I don't play a lot of sandbox
Mm-hmm.
games anymore. I'm like really
Agreed.
picky about it,
Mm-hmm.
but
Okay. And what about games that you've hated? Are there any games that you've hated in the past?
hate it.
Yeah, hated like games that you just don't fuck with. You're like, no. You know what? I got one. Virtual Fighter 5. Okay? I will say it. I hate that game.
You know what? I do not like Virtua Fighter. None of
Vir-
them.
None, but especially Virtual Fighter 5. Oh my, that game pissed me off. You know what
This
I
is a super random game, but you already know I hate this game. I don't even know what it's called. That's the thing. When I don't like a game, it's out of my mind. I'm not thinking about it.
You talking about
What
Space
is that?
Lords?
Space Lords. What is that? I
Yo.
hate that game. I do not like that game. That's a terrible game.
I do not like them, Sam. I am.
I'll
And
play it with y'all because we can all, we got different systems and that's something we can all play easily. But that's a bad game. I'll play it for, you know how you watch a movie like you watch like you know, The Room.
mm-hmm.
It's like I can enjoy it for the reasons that I enjoy The Room. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's
Look, I'll take that.
like, man, this is amazing. They really tried hard to make this super trashy. But that's the
Yes.
thing. I think that is kind of intentional with that game. It's like
Yeah.
super silly.
It is super silly. It's so specific. All the weapons are like you're gonna have a really specific weapon. There are no regular guns in this game. It's like your gun only shoots one bullet, but they're really, really, really powerful. Then you got to reload.
You're gonna have to try and figure out how to make this gun even useful.
Exactly. You are gonna get swarmed by way too many enemies. It's going to happen. So you're gonna have to make this gun work. And it's a
Silly game. You know what the okay? So we talking about games I hate it, but what about games nobody knows of that they should love?
mm-hmm.
Or let me not say that you should love. As you can tell, the way I'm talking, I like stories.
Mm-hmm.
I get excited about new storytelling stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Have you ever played this is gonna sound real weird because I do not like the name. Kane and Lynch.
Yeah.
You played that.
Yes.
Like there's people who play it, and the people who played it are like, oh my goodness, you know about this?
Oh my god,
But
bro.
it's such a weird game. It's like the craziest storytelling I've ever heard. It's me and J-Box played it.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So we played it side by side. And the thing that tripped me out about that game is the first game that made me mad at my partner because they was doing stuff they wasn't supposed to do. He was like shooting hostages and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I didn't understand why, but like
You couldn't
there's
help it.
yeah, exactly. Like there's your characters don't always see the same thing. So you might be doing the same act in the same room together, the same mission, but somebody else is seeing something different. So when you talk about telling stories from like a different viewpoint, this takes it to like it's doing it in a really specific way.
Mhm.
But it's like, oh man, like sometimes when we in the same situation, we really are not seeing the same thing. And I've never seen any kind of media pull it off like that before. I mean, yeah, I've seen like plays and stuff. They pull tricks on you and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was like, I'm sitting in the room with you, we watching the same thing, and I gotta realize that I'm like tripping. So we should make a list. Not now, but later. We're gonna make a list so we can catch up and kind of share some gems.
Yeah, look, I'm with it.
If you got the in the Discord, matter of fact, I might put that in the Discord. I just want everybody to just have a cache of them.
Hey, look, I'll put that in the Discord, bro. if you haven't joined the Discord, join the Discord. That's gonna be there. Kane and Lynch, bro.
Kane Lynch, Azure Dreams.
Yes, Azure Dreams. Was that what it was called?
No, this is different.
Another game with Azure Dreams. I haven't heard of Azure Dreams, but I don't want to reveal the storyline of Kane Lynch. But I'm gonna tell you this: one of the characters is crazy, yo, like literally insane. And you're playing a character that's literally insane, and things happen for you as a character because of that don't happen for anybody else. I see your question. Are you saying hi?
No, I have a question.
I see the question. Do you have a follow-up question, or you want me to ask this question?
That's it. I want to know that.
I see it. But yeah,
Hi, Dan.
I guess I should actually look at the Twitch, huh?
I mean, you could. People do definitely type in it. So, Amani wants to know, what show, cartoon, or soundtrack would you love to see a game accompany?
Cartoon soundtrack?
Show, cartoon, or soundtrack. Would you? It's like basically, is there any kind of like media, like a show or a cartoon, that you would like to see as a game or a soundtrack?
I mean, a lot. You know what? Trigun.
Ooh, that would be super dope. That would
Trigun. I want a Trigun video game.
Yo, and if they made it similar to how they made the Afro Samurai video game, I would love it. All right.
You know that the thing is, I was just thinking about the Afro Samurai video game and the Samurai Jack video game.
Oh yeah, me too.
But the thing is, when I think about the Trigun video game, I don't even have high hopes. Like if they ever made a Trigun video game, it's probably gonna be super bad.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I have fun playing Attack on Titan.
Yeah, because it's Attack on Titan.
It's Attack on Titan.
Freaking Fist of the North Star. Come on, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like it don't even have to be good. It just has to like be in the world solid.
Exactly. If it represents the world well, I'll play it. You know, as much as I may hate on arena fighters, sometimes they do a good job of like making the characters feel like themselves. Okay, and that's the appeal. It's not like they're not good. They're not like really good fighting games. They're not well polished. They're not balanced. All right.
I know. Recently, I was feeling bad because I was like, do I want to buy an arena fighter? Like, don't do that. But like, I've done it before and it was fine. I had a good time. Look, usually short lived, but like, it was fine.
Exactly. So Trigun the video game would probably be like that. Like all of us would play it at least one time through.
I feel like Trigun the video game would just be a story. Like you would just be doing really cool stuff alone in like a one-player game.
Exactly.
But, you know what? Like I feel like a lot of people know about Trigun, but actually haven't watched it. I feel like there are a couple games that I found out about backward. Like usually there's like the manga and then the anime and then the video game. You know Berserk.
Yeah.
I found out about it backwards.
Me too.
I played the video game
on Sega Dreamcast.
And then I watched the anime and then I read the manga.
Yeah.
You saw Sega Dreamcast. Was that Dreamcast?
It was, bro. The original Berserk game.
You know which one I'm talking about.
I do. Where you could like slice things in half with the big old sword and had the little quick time events, bro. That's how I found out.
Played that game.
Bro, that's how I found out about Sword of the Berserk. I never heard of that. I didn't see that in the store.
Like, I saw a game, and I was like, "Is this an anime?" Because back then it wasn't like a
Yeah.
lot of anime video games, and it was like
It wasn't even a lot of anime out.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I was like, man, let me check this out. This looks silly, but I'm gonna try it. And I wasn't expecting to pop the disc in and then he just to be chopping people
Man,
in half,
crazy, chopping people
constantly.
crazy.
and shooting people with a cannon arm. I was like, what is this? It blew my mind. I mean, they didn't make any sense what they did with the story, really. But
True.
I want more stuff like that. I don't care if it's bad.
Exactly. I will play that game again. Look, I ain't gonna say I'm that game, but I will play that game again. Okay. We got some more questions in the chat. I love that game. That game was dope. But sometimes you do figure out about media, and I think it's just good to have a game that represents the characters, and that's why I like fighters. But 2 questions that we have. Do we know any black video game creators?
Creators.
Mm-hmm. No, stop, not like that.
You mean like prominent?
Yeah.
I mean, like I know some personally that I met in life. But,
yeah, exactly. Like
but
small
like they
video
work
game
for companies
creators.
or they work for groups.
Mm-hmm.
Off the top, I know there are some, but off the top of my head, I can't think of them.
Me either. I'm also sorry. And she also wants to know the story about our hair. I mean, I don't know if I ever told it on live on Twitch, but I am a Rastafarian. But to me, it's about like just connecting with my heritage. You know what I'm saying? And it's ancient. You know, and I learned about the vow that I took, and I learned about some of the things people say about hair and how it was looked down upon, and people, you know, the dread, right? And it's kind of like, for me, accepting that people in society might not like or enjoy or might look away about me because of my hair or because of my appearance, right? And taking pride in how I look naturally and how my hair naturally grows. You know what I'm saying? And not shying away from the things that are natural. Just because they might be things that society doesn't like for one reason or another, or doesn't find acceptable or whatever the heck, not using those as a reason not to wear them. You know what I'm saying? And I like the way it looks too, of course. I like the way it looks, but also like what it represents. And like, to me, it's like the branches of a tree or the roots of a tree. You know what I'm saying?
I was super like, I didn't think my hair was gonna turn out great when I started growing it out.
Me either.
But it was like, I didn't want to put a bunch of chemicals in my hair. People was like, "Oh man, you should grow your hair out," and every time it was followed by like what chemicals I should put in it. I was like, man, I don't want that. I'll be watching people scalp all burnt up. I don't even want to get braids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real.
Get braided up and you.
Exactly.
Nah, bro. I'm not trying to be stressed out on my scalp like that.
Exactly. You gotta get that stuff hit every 2 weeks.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah. So I was like, what can I do that's not gonna put chemicals in my hair, that's not gonna be uncomfortable, and that I can do myself, that I don't have to pay somebody else to do.
For real.
I was like, I can grow some dreads. And I used to get made fun of all the time because, like, I'm the lightest skinned one in my family. I mean, my dad's side of the family they look like me, but I didn't really grow up with them. You know, I grew up with my mom's side of the family. They more like you, bro. And I got made fun of all the time. I got called all light bright every day, all a different name every day.
Oh my god!
They
probably thought they was being clever.
Everybody, every day, bro. Every day was something new, and it was like, even my grandmother was like, "How your skin so light, but your hair so nappy?" I'm like, "Grandma,
that's so terrible.
Damn, leave me alone." So she even made me get an S curl one time, man.
Ooh, hey man, I don't know what they always look. I didn't have. I might have had an S curl. I had an S curl too, bro. So like, you ain't gotta feel bad.
I cried. I was very sad. I didn't like it.
Hey, you know what, bro? I ain't gonna lie. I kind of liked it a little bit. I thought I was looking fresh.
I did not like it.
I was like,
lied.
ooh.
I cried before they even put it in. She put it in my hair, and I'm like in the sink crying. And she like, boy, quit crying. It's not even that hot. It don't hurt that bad. I'm like, I'm not crying because it hurt. I'm crying because I'ma look stupid. Bro, I was so sad. Bro. And the worst part was, soon as it set and they took that thing off and looked at it, They both laughed at me. Moms and my grandma
That's
made
so
me do
terrible.
it. Immediately
Damn,
laughed at me.
cuz.
Like that's how they be, man. That is how they.
From that, I didn't want it in the first place. From that moment on, I was like,
Yeah,
never again.
exactly. I mean, same. When I got older, I was like, nah. I mean, my thing was they would shave my head bald. Like I had hair, had an afro. I went to Florida. The first thing they did, shave my head. And you know what's funny? They did the same thing to my son. He had a little afro. He went to Florida. 2 weeks later, bald. And I'm just like, oh my god, bro. What is this? A rite of passage? Hey, but you know what though? I ain't gonna front. It made his hair grow back stronger. So that's a good part. But like that, I had the opposite. I had a perm before. I had an S curl before. I didn't have braids. I didn't had like twisted locks. What else? Of course I had an afro. But at the beginning, like you said earlier, I didn't think this stuff was gonna look like this. I had no hopes for it. I look back at my old stuff. I'm like, oh my god, bro, I had some cojones right there.
Now, I'm gonna have to send you some early pictures with with the little ones.
Bro, I had the same thing, bro. Oh my god, it looks so ridiculous.
The
Like,
most backhanded old like compliments. Girls ain't never said nothing to me about nothing at all. I'll be like, I wish you hadn't grown your hair out like that. You used to be so cute. Why didn't you say something then?
For
Now
real.
you just insulting me.
And now I'm not cute. Okay.
That whole short weird phase, but we grew out of it. We grew out of it.
Exactly. And now it's looking nice. But it happens. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen to anybody who wants to have locks. You're gonna have a short weird phase. No matter what length your hair is, it's gonna be a short weird phase. It's gonna happen because they gotta kind of like form and grow a little bit, take life. You feel me? And Amani has another question in the chat. She wants to know how we met. Do you remember how we met?
I normally don't remember most things, and I do not remember that.
No, I don't remember that either. I ain't gonna lie. It was it has to do something with Jalal. You know, J Box. J Box was there. Could have been at the cipher. That's I think that's a very likely candidate.
The likelihood that it was a cipher is like really high.
Yes, it was probably the Oakland Mine cipher. I normally don't remember most things. Yeah, it's most likely it because there's like a friend system, okay, and we're linked in the same friend group, and we just started talking to each other and like really building. And I think the common denominator is Jalal.
But I'm like, did Jalal bring me or did J-Box bring me?
I mean, he could have brought both y'all because Jalal, I think is more likely to have brought you because he brought a lot of people, including Amani. And also, which is really funny, Jalal used to be in the Oakland mine, so he would come to the cipher all the time, anyways. And sometimes we would bring J Box to the cipher, who was also a friend of Jalal's, and I met J Box through Jalal as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Beatboxers, rappers, small communities.
Exactly. It's like all y'all were on one side of the community, and y'all were already doing stuff together, and I was doing stuff on another side of the community, and then those two communities like came together.
And it's likely that we didn't actually talk for like a long time.
Yeah, and like that we knew of each other for like a number of years.
Yeah, and just was in the same circle, freestyling and hanging out and having small conversations, but never actually like sat down and talked to each other.
Exactly. Like it wasn't like something like, "Hey, Brad, what's good with you? We're gonna be friends." It was more like, "Hey, Brad, what's good with you? Peace."
For months. It's like, I've been seeing you for months, so eventually I guess we had to have a conversation that meant something along.
For real.
I don't know how this started, how our friendship started, but
yeah, I can't say it. Tell us about your journey to being the talent of being a dope breakdancer. I mean, my man he's a man of many skills.
So that used to be a thing I did. But that actually started in Oberlin, Ohio. I know most of y'all don't know what that is, but I bet, I don't know if you heard of it. She might have heard of it. You know ODC.
ODC?
The dance company out here. So there's a lot of people out here that are in ODC and they don't know what it is. So yeah, you probably heard. I'm guessing you heard of it. So ODC is Oberlin Dance Company.
Wow.
That's my hometown.
Wow.
And so that's the people from Oberlin made a dance company out here. And there's a lot of people from my hometown out here because they go there and come back. But the point is, a bunch of people from the Bay in New York was out there in my hometown, working with kids. And I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
middle school, high school, doing like Boys and Girls Club stuff.
Mm.
And they would come in and do breakdancing classes.
Wow.
So I would do these breakdancing classes at the Boys and Girls Club and go do capoeira with them in the park and stuff like that. And just kept hanging with them and meeting people doing that.
Hmm.
That's how it started for me.
That's interesting. That's actually really interesting. Like I did not know that. I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Did he want another girlfriend? No.
I mean, I can't speak for the man.
Wait, what?
I don't know if you know her friend, but she has a friend named Hannah, and she's from Oberlin. Is she from Oberlin?
Yeah,
She definitely went to school there.
Yes, she's from Oberlin. And she was wondering if y'all would like each other or like each other, and she said, and would date heart eyes. That's heck of funny.
I think she's super cool. I just don't really know her.
Well,
Like she's another one of those people I meet in passing a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
true.
although I do have a partner, I am in an open relationship. So anybody out there on the internets, I'm chilling. I probably won't mess with you.
Okay.
During these COVID times, I had to see you down the line, but I'm chilling. Life is good.
For real.
If he trying to shoot a shot, he should caress the sides of his mustache while he does it. No.
That's heck of funny. That's hilarious.
That.
You say blacks in Oberlin tell us about demographics?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, honestly, that's like a way more in-depth story than I think you realize you're asking.
Tell us, because you know what, you've said some things about this, and blacks in Oberlin is actually a really, really important part of history that I think a lot of us need to know. To be honest, I'm gonna keep it 100% real.
So Oberlin, Ohio, is a college town. Like most people really just know about it as like a liberal college town. Generally, pretty wealthy liberals that would end up there. It's great for musicians. They got a really good music conservatory. A lot of journalists come from out of there. I'm pretty sure both of the dudes from Radio Lab went to Oberlin College. They graduated from Oberlin. Journalism, music. I know there's another thing, but there's like three main things that are like the biggest things. But the history of Oberlin itself is like a whole other thing. They were basically, it was one of the ends of the Underground Railroad. And so people that was coming from the south up to the north would basically either stop there or get to Canada, because we're right on the lake, right? Got the Great Lakes. If you're trying to get out of this country in general, they would go across the lake up into Canada and make a new life up there, attempt to. But otherwise, there was a lot of like some of the tunnels that people would hide in and crawl through were still in my town growing up. And through that history, what ends up happening is you have a weird demographic. You have Oberlin, which historically they would hide and house slaves. And then the towns around it essentially were trying to get the bounties for those slaves. So we would have battles with the towns next to us. There's like, you ever heard of the Oberlin Wellington Rescue or anything like that? We'd had these battles with them trying to take slaves back from, in hiding up in Oberlin.
Wow.
So weird part was like growing up, there was like still a lot of racial tension with a lot of that stuff. Not that it's like we remember the Oberlin Wellington Rescue, but like, you look at what's happening now with like Trump's whole thing and all the stuff that's happening. And it's like, people forget that. Yeah, but I'll be talking to people. It's like, oh yeah, we live in a different time. Before Trump got elected, it's like, oh yeah, racism's gone. I'm like, okay. But where I'm from, it's like you got the KKK not that far away. You know what I mean? Like Grand Wizard was staying out there or something. And it's like you would get in fights with people over the silliest stuff. Like I've had times where one of my white friends is like, "Oh man, these people, I usually don't mess with people from X city or whatever, Wellington or whatever else."
Mm-hmm.
And it would because I would end up getting in fights a lot or something. There was one time they introduced us to some cool, and he's thinking they cool, but he ain't seen around black people. They meet us, and they're like, "Oh, you know what, bro? Like we really don't like black people." And to me, I prefer that type of thing rather than being what I found out here a lot, where like people have crazy, like they be thinking hella crazy stuff, but they don't say it, and you got to find out later that they on some silly stuff. And so it's like, then if somebody just like, "Oh, bro, I don't like black people," well, then we can fight about it right now, or we can go our separate ways and just not have to deal with it. But it was like, it was a weird place. Not to say that was happening all the time, but like Oberlin was the majority. It was slightly majority black by like a little bit. And every other town around, most of the other towns around us was majority white. I didn't realize this until later. Somebody from another school told me after I graduated that they called us Little Africa because we was like the only black majority school in that district.
Wow.
And so it was like we had a lot of tension with the schools and areas around us, but that actually built a lot of camaraderie with the people I grew up with, like the white folk I was around. Like there would be fights that would break out over some silly shit somewhere else, but they would be there for us. They'd be right there with it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, it's none of that asking what happened. Nope. They don't need to know what happened. They know what happened. They right in there with you. And that's like, not that I miss getting in fights with white people over silly stuff, but like I knew where my white people were generally, like where they stood on certain subjects, as opposed to like finding out way down the line. And so I don't know, growing up in Oberlin was that. It was like a weird growing up in kind of like a poor school. Like there was rich people, there was poor people that grew up there, like rich professors' kids. You had kids that was getting kicked out of almost every school in that section of the state, and they would end up at our school because they had like correctional facilities. So you had like, you just had a really strange mix, a really broad mix of people in a very small area. Oberlin is like barely a mile, 2 mile wide or something. You know what I mean? It's a very small space, but you had a pretty diverse group of people at the college, in the town. Yeah, I could go on for a long time about different racial stuff that goes on in that area, but
yeah, I
a lot of
mean,
history there.
it is. Can you tell us real quick more about some of the tunnels that were dug in Oberlin? Because that's something that you told me before that stuck out to me.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, there's tunnels between some of the structures and houses and buildings in Oberlin that they used to hide people in, or like like on some what you call it,
Underground Railroad.
Yeah, Underground Railroad. But it's like people don't like the Underground Railroad is like a phrase that we say that you doesn't necessarily give like a super clear image. When you think about like people's basements having secret trapdoors, and it's like, you think about, like Holocaust stuff where people are trying to get away from folk and hiding in attics and basements is like is a similar thing. But they same thing was like Jewish folk are hiding in these places for long periods of time, just like living in somebody's attic for a long time, trying to hide from these people. Similar thing where it's just like you got a bunch of black folk living in a hole in a basement or an attic or something, trying to keep them out of sight, so that, like I said, these people don't take bounties on them and take them back so that you can get them across the river. I just remember, I can't remember where I was, if I was at somebody's house or what building we were in, but I remember as a kid, somebody had found like these tunnels that went from one structure, like one, I mean, I'm guessing they were connected, but it like went from one house or one structure to another. Like we literally went from somebody's house to a totally different structure, and it freaked me out because everybody else that was crawling through these holes, this is like a dirt hole, and I'm thinking like it's gonna collapse. Like if this is the hole I think it is, like how is this not already gone or like I don't know. It like weirded me out. I'm crawling through this hole, and we come out on the other side in a whole other place.
Wow.
And you know what I'm saying? They kids. They was I'm a kid too, but I was like shook by the whole experience. I'm like, we in this
Mhm.
dark hole, shining lights in here, and they're like, oh, isn't that crazy? And I'm like, bro, that was the scariest thing. And not only was it scary, but like for me, it was thinking about what that was.
Mhm.
Like people had to do that.
Mhm.
Like this is
Mhm.
a life people had to do. It's like, oh, they're hiding somewhere and they have to crawl through these holes to get to another place because like somebody's trying to look in or
Yeah,
that's like
that's deep.
I don't know.
That's.
It made me think about that more than I ever had.
Hmm.
My grandmother did a lot of history and research on like our background and the background of Oberlin and different things like that. But that's a whole long other story.
Okay. Well, look, I want to say shout out to I Just Love Puzzles for the gift sub. Gave Amani J 2 months, her second month of oh snap, that's Terry Griffith's mom. Thank you. Yo, hey, I want to have Terry Griffin back. He really came through and dropped some knowledge. I appreciate that. That is really sweet. So Terry Griffin, I had him on the show last week. Just had him on the show last week. For real, man, that boy is is talented. That man, right? His man's older than me, but he got skills. All right, he got skills, and he got some extreme work ethic. And I was telling him how I appreciate that. So shout out to her, man. Shout out to all the mamas out there raising all of us black children. And we got some more conversations to have, but you know I want to stream this game that we were talking about, and we can continue to have these conversations
The silly
while we
one?
stream. Yes, the silly one, the silly
Okay.
one. Man, she did. She came in just at the right segment. But before we do that, I want to ask you one last question.
What's that?
And now I want you to talk about your grandma, and some of the research that she did about your family.
She tried to go back and see kind of where we came from,
Mm-hmm.
and there's dead ends there. You can only go back so far, really, which
And
is like
they want to know what your grandma's name is too.
uh Smith. Well, okay, so my real grandma, like the grandma that raised me, is Josephine
Mm.
Charlie, and she
Mm-hmm.
passed recently.
Mm.
Um, but my other grandmother, she's the one who did the research. Um, she, I don't know, it's sorted because she did a lot of really great research, but I think like like some like it's too much for somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like somebody knows too much about something, or not, I don't want to say like too much, but like they know so much about history or a subject that it's like infuriating
Mm-hmm.
that other people don't know
Mm-hmm.
these things. That's like a lot of the energy I felt like I got from her. Like a lot of the energy that I got talking to her was just like trying to get me to understand
Mm.
um, my history
Mm-hmm.
from her perspective, which was like
Mm.
I think also a little skewed too. But she wanted to be a record of who we are and where we came from.
Mm.
And the thing about that is like some of it is cool where it's like, oh man, my mom or my grandmother did all this research to figure out where we're from. But it's also sad
Mm.
because a lot of that story is like part of the reason my family on that side looks the way that they do is because of like slave rape, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like generations of that happened, and then not during slavery, but like one of my great grandmothers or something was some random white guy, you know,
Mm.
and she ended up having kids,
Mm.
and it's just like this cycle of like, uh, you know, like white blood that you don't choose to have in your bloodline, which is
Mm.
kind of a weird thing to end up with, because like talking about that is weird and on multiple fronts, which
Right.
is like I have to like defend my blackness in weird ways
Mm.
sometimes.
Mm.
But also sometimes I feel bad because it's like I'll think about mixed folk, and sometimes like white mom or white parent, black parent, and it's the struggles that they have, right?
Mm.
Because
Mm.
I can sit back and regardless of what somebody say, I can be like, yo, I'm black as it get. You know what I'm saying? I'm so black, I don't know where my people came from. That's how black I am,
Mm.
you know? And there's like something in that for me that's like, at least like just to shut somebody up, I can tell you I know what happened to my people, you know?
Mm.
But I think sometimes I take like a lot of pride in being like, this is what happened. Let me explain it to you and like my own knowledge. And I think that can be like ostracizing to other people, like mixed race folk,
Mm.
where it's it's like, oh, I'm not just black and I'm not just white, and it makes it to where it's like, oh, I'm black. Not that I'm doing it that way, like I'm trying to out somebody else for like not being black enough or something.
Mm.
But it like not being able to say you are one or the other, I sometimes realize like that really tears people up.
Mm.
Like I've talked to multiple people where it's like, man, sometimes I look in the mirror and don't know what to think about myself,
Mm.
you know?
Wow.
And I think that's something that my grandmother kind of went through. Like she had green eyes, you know?
Oh wow.
Um, not that she ever talked about it directly,
Of course.
but it's just something you kind of feel in the
Mhm.
energy of stuff where it's like,
Mhm.
I think the reason she pushed so much on me is because she was defending herself,
Mhm.
her kids so much.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, yeah, that's she taught me a lot, but I think she gave me a lot of stress in this
I
in
feel
the
you.
same way.
I feel you.
And I just feel like reminding people like what blackness is. Like me, the reason I look the way I am, like that's the product of like colonialism, and like that's
Mhm.
the like what blackness is. That's why we like are called black, because that's how they wanted to identify us, as like a commodity,
Mhm.
and like to be easier to identify. It's like we came out darker than everybody else. The Native
Mhm.
Americans, they tried to enslave them, and like some of them slipped into society, and it's like, well, we'll just kill them off because they can slip into society. These guys are super black. We can tell they're not one of us. You know, there's like a lot of things that went into that other than that, but um yeah, I don't know. It's I just don't want to like ostracize anybody. I'm
Yeah.
proud of where I came from. I'll have people ask me a lot of times like, how come you say black instead of African American? And it's like, I'm not denying like at my African American heritage. I
Mhm.
just want to be clear and remind people that I don't know where I'm from. Like
Mhm.
I they could have taken my people from Africa. They could have taken my people from an island. Like they took people from a lot of different places. I
Mhm.
don't know where I'm from. And I want people to remember that. Like when people
Mhm.
say like, well, you know, I'm not a part of this or I'm not a part, like, cause my people are from there. Like being able to know where you're from
Mhm.
is something I'm not able to do.
Yeah.
You know, like
Mhm.
that's a luxury that I don't have, is to know where my bloodline actually comes from.
Mhm.
But um I don't know. As far as like what my grandmother gave me, that's like a big part of it. Is like reminding people what happened and saying like this is the reason I look the way I do,
Mhm.
and I don't want people to forget that. Like I don't not say African American to deny my African American heritage, just to remind people that I'm literally like I'm a product of colonialism.
Mhm.
I'm a product of capitalism.
Mm.
My body, my blood
Mhm.
and skin and bone looks
Hmm.
the way it does because of capitalism
Mhm.
and colonialism. Period. Point
Exactly.
blank.
Exactly.
Um, not denying what I am, just reminding everybody else who and what we are as like as a whole, as a country, as a history.
Yeah, I feel that. And it's specific. You know, where we are in this situation is very specific, and it's specific to us, and it's different, and it's unique from anybody in the world. We're the only ones who've had this kind of experience. You know what I'm saying? And that's important. That's valuable for us not to forget that. And Amani actually had another question that kind of correlates with that, and it's like, how do you feel about how do you feel when people try and erase slavery? And you said especially black people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, especially black people.
Black people try to erase slavery?
Well, they say it didn't happen.
Or they say it didn't happen.
They literally be like, you only know because you've been told this by media, like it's a conspiracy or something.
Well, that's not something I've dealt with. And if that's been in front of me, then
Okay.
it was immediately put. I can't deal with that. I don't tangle with that.
Nah, because folks are tripping.
What's the phrase? It's like, I guess there's two different ways to put it, but it's like, what's the key to happiness? One man asks, what's the key to what do you think the keys to happiness? The other man says, not arguing with fools. The first man says, I disagree. And the second man says, you're right. You know what I'm saying? Like you're right. Whatever you're thinking, that's right. That's how I feel about stuff like that. When somebody's so far off, don't stress out about it. Like, yeah, you got to do what you can do to teach people who are able to learn
and willing.
Well, those are two different things. Willing to learn is like to me, that implies the possibility of like learning right now in this moment that we're talking. And then there's people who are able to learn. And again, not that you need to like force someone to learn, because that's not how it's going to work. But sometimes if you say the truth to someone and then just leave it, don't argue it, just leave it. Sometimes they hear it a lot later.
True.
You know, like I've had people come back to me years later after saying stuff to them, but like I know they didn't want to hear, and I know they weren't able to hear at the time. But like come back a year, 2 years later after not talking to me at all and be like, man, you know, thank you for being so truthful. So I wouldn't get into deep arguments with these type of people. I would just give them whatever information, give them whatever resources, whatever you can give them. Like have information ready for these type of conversations if these are things you're running into, and just be like, you know what, man, like, let me give you this. I'm gonna just give you this right here. Like, this is what I know, and just leave it at that. And if they ever pick up that information again, you've left them with something that they can teach themselves with. Because if they're not ready to learn now, they might be ready later. And you can give them the resources to do that at a later time when they're ready. But that's really all you can do.
That's true. That's definitely true. And it, you know, I mean, I don't really deal with them either. I'm looking for people who are willing and able. Order. Okay. Order. That's just where I'm at. And I think that people really need to serve people at all levels. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. It's okay for some people to work with some people who are at this level or that level. You know, I think people should go with their callings.
Exactly. Because there's a line for everybody. Like if you can go past that line that I'm talking about in like a way that's useful, great. I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna have to give you a little piece of information and walk away. I can't do any more than that.
Man, for real.
It's not gonna be useful or productive for either of us. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, yo, this is you're not one of those people who can't listen. We argue because we disagree on certain things. All right, I'm saying it's hard for you. Do you know why I argue with you? I argue with you because I love you.
Oh, all right? God.
Look, if I didn't love you the way I love you, I would walk away.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying, we're two people who are like what he just said about just give it to him and walk away, that's difficult. And then you put it together towards each other. Well, that's a different story. That's not
I
necessarily what I
mean,
was talking
yes.
about. I just meant in general.
Yes, I I've walked away from a lot of arguments, but okay, I do. I mean, I do like to argue. I'd like to argue more when I was young than I do now. Like when I was young, I would be going hard on people. Okay, but then I realized I didn't have to do that, and that sometimes it doesn't really work, and it's not what people need. You know what I'm saying? And so then, as I have grown and become wiser, I'm like, I'm gonna focus on people who I can talk to. You feel me? Who I can talk to, who I can level with, who will listen, and who I can listen to. And if it ain't that, peace. We out.
The thing is too, like disagreeing on something, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest examples of this, and not that we like disagree on most stuff, because in the end feel like we generally are in the same place. But like me and Jalal,
Mm-hmm.
most of our friendship is us arguing.
There you go.
Like just like two old black dudes on the porch arguing for weeks about the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Going back and forth. But the thing with that, like friendships like that, nobody ever gets upset about it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you taking it personally or nothing.
Yeah.
And other people, the best part about that is other people from the outside, they thinking you really going at it. They thinking y'all like having an issue, but y'all are good.
Like, there you go.
I forget who I did this bit with. Me and somebody was arguing one time. We was like, man, no, some, this is that or the other. And somebody came in and was like, hey guys, calm down. We both looked at him and was like, we fine. Went back to what we was doing. And then later that night, we was hanging out, chilling, laughing and talking. And they're like, oh man, I thought you guys was really upset. Like, nah, man, I think it's good to have some people that you're comfortable enough to really get into argument with. Like, really get into argument with it and it still be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Because on some level, there should be someone in your life that you're comfortable to do that with, because I think it's healthy. Not that you should just be arguing to be arguing, but
yeah.
You know.
And look, I believe that at some point in time, any two people who are in any kind of relationship together for long enough and deep enough are gonna have disagreements. You know what I'm saying? We are unique snowflakes, and you try to put two snowflakes together, there's gonna be edges and ends that don't mix. It's gonna happen. Yeah. You know, it's not whether or not you have a disagreement, it's what you do when you have a disagreement. You know what I'm saying? And how you handle it afterwards, how you feel about it, how you come to terms with it, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's really, I think it's about the intention going in. Like, when you have good intentions going into a conversation, and so does the other person, and they really put those intentions forward, I think most often it comes out better. You know what I'm saying? Than if a person has no intentions, or if a person secretly has negative intentions, or forwardly has negative intentions.
And man, I've been having that a lot. Like, and this is getting personal, but like, even, you know, it's COVID. Like, you living with these people that you living with super close.
Yes.
You know, me and my girl was stressing out for a while back, and it's like, part of it is because I know that like she would feel like she wouldn't be saying something. Me, that's even worse.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
Thinking like, well, I didn't want you to get upset about something that I felt or something that I had to say. I'm like, just tell me, because I can see when somebody has something that they don't want to say, and that super irritates me. I do not. You just say whatever it is you
even if it's gonna hurt my feelings, just say the shit. You ain't gotta be mean about the shit. Just, I want to know it. That's all I can do. It.
Feelings, or you think I'm not gonna agree, or you think
I'm gonna be mad at you, bro? Like
whatever it might be. We gonna have to get through it, because I know it's there, and that's gonna drive me insane.
Exactly, and it's gonna be there. It's gonna be there. It ain't going nowhere. And you can't do nothing about it if you can't be upfront about it. You know what I'm saying? If you can't put the thing out there in the open, take a look at it, you ain't never gonna understand it. You ain't gonna never be able to fix it or do nothing about it. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I like to be able to do what I can about it. Some things you can't do stuff about, some things you can't do stuff about. I'd rather know if it is something I can or can't do something about than not know what it is at all.
There's a lot of people that, not that I would say that I'm that close to, but there's a fair amount of people that, like, because we've had a conversation like that where I was like, you need to tell me what you think and what you feeling, because I know you got something else, and like I get to the point where if I'm talking to somebody about something, like I'll get mad because they'll be like, well, I don't want to talk about this, that, or the other. And I'm like, if why are we even talking then? Like if we're not gonna get to the core of really what you feel and what's going on, there's no point in us talking. If we're gonna be talking around things, we don't even need to talk. Just go ahead and leave it. If you're just gonna handle it on the inside, then go ahead and handle it on the inside and don't tell me about it.
True.
But
True.
if you want to handle it together, then let's talk about it. Let's get all the way to the meat of the subject. And I've had people that I'm not even that close to, but just like, we had a conversation like that, and they'll call me up. I don't even really talk. They'll call me up months down the line and be like, "Hey, man, just really need to talk to you because I know
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be straight with me, and you're gonna like talk all the way, and you're not gonna get mad if I ask something stupid or say something." Whether it's like, like white we was talking about, black folk, people in general saying like slavery didn't happen or something. Sometimes I'll have people hit me up and just be like, "Look, man, like, it might be a white person or something, be like, something crazy happened, and like I had some crazy thought or some racist thought or something." And it's like, if you can acknowledge that and I can give you the space to say like, hey, I need to figure out what's going on in here, and you can be honest with me. I might not like what you're gonna tell me, that's for sure. Like, yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably not gonna like it. And I might think something of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna, because you're being honest with me and saying like, hey man, like what is it I need to do, or what is it I need to work on? I can't be mad at anybody for being honest with me.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. And I mean, I think honesty is the best policy because when you're honest, then you can deal with it. You can't deal with something that you ain't honest about. You got to be honest with yourself about it. And a lot of times when people ain't being honest with somebody else, they ain't being honest with themselves either. Okay, and that's the problem. And you get something that gets deep down, it gets piled up because whatever this thing is, it's not being tended to. You know what I'm saying? And it continues not to get tended to over and over and over again until you can't control it, until it's controlling you. You know
And
what I'm
then you don't
saying?
even know a lot of people don't even know what it looked like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like they'll be upset about one thing when that's not even what they upset about. They're upset
Exactly.
about something totally different, and it's all just related and strung up in a weird way. But
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Freaking exactly. But it's communication, man. I be telling Money all the time. Like I know we all rappers in this mug, but I'm like words, bruh. Words are just not good enough for me. I know I'm a rapper. I know I be talking up a storm. I love talking, all right, but sometimes words just can't do it. They just don't scratch the itch. I'm like this thing that I feel that I think. Look, I could put words to it, but there are no words that exist for it. You know, and I sometimes I think we need to feel it, and sometimes I think this is getting a little bit out there, but it's like to me there are certain things that you just feel inside of you. You know what I'm saying? Whether there are words to it, whether there's like a clear way to describe it or not, is there. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important for people to trust that kind of internal vision and that internal vibe. You know, and I think a part of it when people are not able to see themselves, right, it's because they're not able to trust themselves, you know? And I think it's like unsureness inside of a person, making them unsure about what's gonna happen. We don't control what's gonna happen, and we don't have to control what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta respond.
being
Sometimes.
okay with uncertainty is a really big thing. I think honestly, a lot of this conversation it comes down to that, like being okay with uncertainty in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
with not knowing the answers, being okay with, like you said, like sometimes there's just not words for what you're trying to express to somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's what you have to say. Like if you don't have the words to express something to somebody, tell them you don't have the words.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that helps.
It
Or at least
does.
if that person
It's
is willing to accept that, like,
clarity,
That part.
closure.
to say like, look, like I'm gonna try to explain this to you the best that I
Cause that's
can, but I
honest.
really don't think that I can. So like it's just gonna take time for us to figure out how to work through what we feeling or what we talking about or whatever. Sometimes there's just no words, and you have to accept that when you're done talking, when this conversation's done, that there's still gonna be stuff to work on. It's
Mm-hmm.
still gonna be mystery. It's still gonna be, we're locked in our own heads, and we have to accept that, and we got to work with each other as best as we can. But just leave room for mistakes, man.
Agreed. Agreed. Because people gonna make mistakes. Ain't nobody gonna be perfect, no matter how many times you do it. And like on the game, when you watching high level people play, I think all of us get an idea in our minds that they don't make mistakes. But when you really watch them, you be like, that was a mistake. Like my man straight up slipped.
Why did he do that?
Ain't been doing it the whole game, then all of a sudden, as soon as one little thing happens, you're like, oh, mistake. Because no matter how good you get at something, nobody's perfect, and we don't have to be perfect. And that's the other side of the equation. You know, expectations, having realistic expectations for yourself, with yourself, and just understanding that like it's okay, it's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's the end of the world, it ain't the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like your soul may move on or whatever. If that, and that's like that's the hardest thing that can happen, right? That's like the worst possible equation. But at the same time, whatever is here that's left is going to continue going and continue doing its thing. And the impacts that you had are the impacts that you had. And if it's that time, then it's that time. And there's nothing that we could do to stop it. And we don't have to stop it. And trying to stop it is really futile. And it's really a waste of our time. You know what I'm saying? That time could be spent in so many other ways. You know? Instead of worrying about it. Worrying about a potential future that may or may not come. That's why personally, man, I try to stay in the present, cuz.
Exactly. Don't stress out about the future. Just do what you can do now.
That's it. And either it works or it don't. It'll work itself out. Look, we don't got to control it. We just do the best we can. And if it doesn't work out the way we want it to, we adjust. Okay? And that's what we've been doing for years. All right? Eons. Millennia in this mug. We ain't got it all the way right, but we ain't got it all the way wrong either. Okay? And speaking of right and wrong, man, one thing I love, especially about black people, is being able to go back and look at our history, because our history is not taught, and that's to me that's whack. And I think our history needs to be taught, because our history is powerful, and our history really is everybody else's history too. We've had a piece in everybody's history. When you look at everybody's history, black people are involved somewhere. It's like, and then in the year 4000 BC, black people taught us how to make bowls. They taught us about electricity.
And that's the thing. It's like so many things that it's not like, hey, there's this stuff that you should know about. It's like, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you don't know, but then there's a bunch of stuff that's like wrong. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the other thing. It's like, this is not just accurate to the way things happen, but I don't know. Like people talk about like the first this or the first that, and I'm like, the first school was where now?
For real? Like who built the first university, bro?
Interesting.
It's funny that you think that.
Yeah, it's like it'll be stuff that like I didn't even know that we disagreed on. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even know people were saying it. Thought we agreed, but
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dope. But I knowing the history for me is so powerful, and I share some of those facts with my daughter, and I just got my dad gave me. Yo, this is kind of like a side note, but it's kind of weird. Yo, like my dad has been giving me gifts recently, and he's been giving me the most positive, powerful black gifts that I've ever received in my life from anybody. And I'm just like, who told you about this? I'm like, how do you know that I like these things? Like, I know I've been talking about it for years. I know I've been repping for it for years, but
trying to catch up.
I'm saying it's 2020, and you get me a set of freaking black flashcards that have so many different historical figures and historical events from so many different time frames. I'm like, bro, like I didn't even know you knew who these people were. You know what I'm saying? And it's stuff like that he's been getting me, and that kind of stuff I think is important, especially during these times, because it supports, not only does it support black businesses, right? It helps to pay some black bills, but also it encourages us presently to build our understanding of our own history. And having an understanding of that is like, it changes the way that you move. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a lot of history when it comes to like to black culture and the black experience, and you have a lot of knowledge that a lot of people don't have. So you think about it already in a way that's different than a lot of folks, and you're able to enlighten folks by telling them some of the true facts about history that we don't hear every day, like Oberlin. Like people might think Ohio, oh, there's no black people there, right? But not only were there black people there, but there were white people there who were helping former slaves to escape and get free, and that's an important part of history in that state. And it's like that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that we need to teach each other because it's not being taught in schools. And so like having those flashcards makes it easier to know for as a people what those things are, and I share them with my kids. Like I hit them facts like this person, Betsy Coleman, you know what I'm saying? Airplane pilot. You need like, and it just helps us to really understand ourselves and our place in our history. You know, and it builds pride. It builds, you could say, racial pride, and I think that's important.
Especially when it's like covered up, because it's one thing to just be like, look how awesome we are. It's another thing to be like, hey man, let me show you how awesome we are because nobody told you.
Exactly. Yo, and, and real quick, only one running, he was like, white people be like the first school was in Michigan. That's like funny because that's really how they do be. And my partner, she wants us to bring up briefly talking about calling people slaves. She's on the side of the movement of calling us formerly enslaved people, and so that's something that she really cares about, just to be historically correct, because you know we it's not like we were just slaves as people, but we were people who were enslaved. You know what I'm saying? And just to be like historically accurate and be, I don't know, like specific with the words that we use.
Yeah, I mean that's why I was talking about with the black thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, and depending on, and this could actually just be grouped up with slave itself, obviously, but it's like sometimes you say slaves, and I think people like, we don't have like slaves, so like we still think of people.
Mm-hmm.
But like slaves in a lot of groups in a lot of places and times, like they not people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're livestock.
Pretty much, and that's how we were treated as livestock.
And it sounds like it's like a crazy thing to say, but it's like, nah, like we were bred, we were like housed in fucking like hoops, you know?
Yeah, and dehumanized.
It's just wild, and it just, I think it's hard for people to envision, like, you know, someone working for free and being beaten and like actually not being treated like a human.
Mm-hmm. Being treated as
actually,
if they're an
like,
animal.
all the way not like a human. Not like a little dehumanized, like
exactly.
All the way.
Like you're not even half of a human. Like we're gonna consider you 1/3. Like, and it's like they didn't want to consider us at all. It was a fight to consider us 1/3.
And that's the thing. It'd be so funny. Like people talk about stuff. It's like, oh, like 3/5, and it's like some people don't even know why it was 3/5. Like the only reason it was 3/5 is so that the people who owned them could have more of a vote, you know. Or like there was one. I went to Georgia one time, to Savannah, Georgia, and a friend of mine there. She was driving me around. She's like, "Oh, so beautiful, blah blah blah." Like, there's a lot of great Black history here, and the way she said it, not that couldn't have been true, but the way that she said it made me be like, "Uh-oh, here we go."
Mm-hmm.
And she started talking about like, yeah, this is. She was like, "This is where the first Black church was built," and I was like, "So you gotta understand, I did grow up around churches and Christian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really
Me too.
ascribe to any organized religion really, but when she said like the first Black church, I'm thinking, I mean, I kind of know how slavery went, but like, how does she think it went? Like, do you think some people built a church because they wanted to build a church, or do you think some people built a church because their religion and language was stolen from them, and then their slave master allowed them to build a religious shrine to his own God?
Yeah,
And
pretty
not
much.
theirs. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, did you consider like they were building a shrine to a god that isn't theirs? And I don't know if they knew this, but like a lot of stuff like that, like they would work, you know, sun up to sundown. Sun up to sundown, right? So what that means is they're working, like even if you look at the Bible, there's stuff in there about like how you're supposed to do carpentry and like ways that it's supposed to be safe. The Bible is full of stuff you are and are not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And like safety and carpentry is one of the things. And so I'm thinking like he had them took their religion, enslaved them, took their God, had them build a shrine to his God, and I'm assuming probably had them work from sun up to sundown and do carpentry at night, which is dangerous.
Yes, exactly.
And after they've been exhausted all day working for free for him.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
But that's okay. But being black is a sin, right? That sounds about right.
Not really excited about that piece of history.
Exactly. And that's how we were treated. We were treated as animals, and it's so ridiculous because it became so normalized, and people just really, I don't know how you could look at something that looks exactly like you, albeit with darker skin, and think that it's not the same species as you. You know, it's not like you look at a white rabbit and you look at a brown rabbit and you're like, that's not a rabbit. That is not a rabbit. That's a dog.
Not the same thing at all.
It's not the same thing. Like they have no relation to each other at all.
People still doing it.
People are still doing it. People are still doing it, and that's weird, bro. It's weird to me, and it's funny. Amani said she's like, maybe we should think of another word for the slavers, because slavers is not harsh enough. And
I'm just saying.
Heck no. I don't call nobody master. I don't say sir to nobody. The only person I'm calling sir is Jay-Z's son. That's it. Okay. Only person I'm calling sir. And these are the cards I was talking about earlier. These are Black History flashcards. As y'all have seen, there's a lot of versions of them, and they're made by urbanintellectuals.com.
I really thought you were just making flashcards at the house.
No. I mean, yo, you could do that, bro, but my dad actually got me a set of flashcards, right? And it's a big set. Like you got this one right here is Steam. So we got Steam, we got Black History playing cards, which has African symbols on it, right? African symbology and stuff, like African symbols from like different African cultures. These are Ndinkra symbols, the ones that are on it. You can't really see it because the camera's kind of being wonky, but they also have history facts on them. What else do we got in this mug? We got women in history, Black women in history. We got Afro, Latino, Caribbean history. We got STEAM, so all of our scientific, mathematic advancements. Volume 1 is just kind of general. It's like all the different things, like social advancements, things like that. I actually have 2 copies of Volume 1. Didn't know that. Might give one back to my dad. Real Talk. This is a Black consciousness conversation game kind of thing, where you pick cards and you have conversations about different Black subjects. I think we should definitely break out one of these before the end of this. That would be a dope way to use these.
I mean, you could give me that extra pack that you just about to get rid of.
I mean, yes, I can, bro. Look, you want it, it's yours. It's yours. We got another stack of Black trivia cards. We got 3, Volume 1 and Volume 2 are the Black trivia cards. And then I got an extra set of Black playing cards as well. Facts and quotes. And then I have another one that I use for my son, which is like a matching game where you match different Black figures together. And so I have him match different people together, and then I tell him about the people that he's matching. So I put out like 5 different people. And so I'm like, find the ones that match. When you find it, let me know. And then I'll talk about the person who's on the card.
Curious. I like that you're doing it because nobody else is going to do it.
And yeah, exactly. You know, I teach. And so I teach other people's kids. I'm glad I teach at a Black school so I can really be there for Black kids. I ain't going to front because we need it. But as a teacher and as an educator, and also as a parent, I feel like no matter what the education system was like, we should always teach our kids at home because we are our kids' first teacher. You know what I'm saying? I am also a teacher of other children, so like I have practiced teaching, right? So that kind of gives me like it gives me tools to use with him, and it makes it easier to teach him because I have to create tools for like big groups of students, and I also have training in creating those kind of tools and using those tools, right? So having just one little kid to work with makes it easier, right? It makes it easier for me to be creative and to know the kind of things that work. And it, it might be helpful for me to share some of those skills with the community. But I think it's important, no matter where your skill is at, for you as a parent, for us as parents, to teach our kids and to take time to teach and to educate our kids, like for real. And Puerto Ricans, I consider Puerto Ricans black. The question is, are Puerto Ricans black? I think they're black.
Puerto
Ricans,
like,
Dominicans, like, Haitians.
Are Puerto Ricans considered black? I consider them black, but I would say you gonna have to ask them that.
Exactly, they gotta consider themselves black.
Exactly, because some of them don't think they black. A lot of them do.
Exactly.
Some of them don't.
Exactly.
And I'm very confused by that.
And look, I'm gonna keep it 100% real with y'all. I think that there's a lot of black blood flowing through Spanish people in this country. All right, and in South America, Spanish people in this country and in South America, and that's a bigger conversation. I think that needs to be had. The connection between us as black people and also the connection between indigenous people who are here in this country, because we know for a fact that we've mixed blood already, just based on slavery, but we were also here before slavery, and there's a lot of us who are mixing with the genealogy anyways. And if you think about science and the fact that there was Pangea, you know what I'm saying, and the fact that these two land masses, South America and Africa, were connected at one point in time, and we have very similar structures and cultures spread across both coasts. I think that there's obviously a deep connection between us and indigenous people of this country. You know what I'm saying? That's just my take on it. Hot take or not, that's how I feel about it, and I think that it's a bigger conversation that needs to be had for sure. And then volume 4, pre 1492. That's important, man. Shout out to Imhotep. Okay.
Like we gonna go way back.
Way back.
I'm gonna have to come see those, bro.
Bro, it's good. Look, I got a whole stack, bro. You see, and like I said, man, I think it's important for us in this generation to support each other on an economic level, but also to support each other on an educational level. And I think that education is key. One thing that inspires me as a black person is my grandma, right? And it's so funny because when my grandma did it, like I think I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, and it wasn't even.
I know.
It wasn't even like a big thing. Like she didn't make it about race. She didn't make it about nothing like that. But we did a science project on George Washington Carver, right? And I had never heard of George Washington Carver. I was in the 2nd grade. I didn't hear about him until high school, and they barely covered him. They're like the dude who did something with peanuts, and I was like, okay, sure. That's trash history. Okay. He's supposed to be the history teacher, cuz this American history. He American, ain't he? You call him African American? But anyways, we did this project, and he had over like 100 inventions with the peanut and with the sweet potato. They never said anything in school about him making things with the sweet potato, and the fact that he had over 100 inventions with each of them was so powerful for me as a young person, and because we went out and got the different things that he invented. Like he can make this with a peanut, he can make this with a peanut, he can make blue ink with a peanut, and he can make red ink with a sweet potato. I was like, you can make
sweet potatoes, man. Superfood.
It is, and it's a superfood, right? And that's an important part of our history and who we are as people, right? And the kind of things that we've accomplished, because those advancements in science that he made still live on today. You know what I'm saying? And they want us to think that we haven't accomplished anything. When you ask a black kid, and it's, oh my god, bro, I teach, and so it's sad. I asked a 5th grade kid, can you name one thing that black people invented? Couldn't name one thing, bro. Couldn't name one thing. Hurt my heart. I wanted to cry.
So,
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna flip the script on it a little bit.
Hey, do that.
So, you talking about stuff black people invented?
Yes, I am.
I want to talk about one very silly thing that black people didn't invent.
Oh,
I learned this in my Black history class in high school. The myth of the giant black penis. We didn't do that.
really?
I thought we did that.
It wasn't us.
No, because we were sitting in class, and he was talking about stereotypes. My teacher was talking about stereotypes. He was like, "Oh, so what do y'all think about stereotypes? What kind of stereotypes are there?" And one of the white kids was like, "What up, man? Y'all got all the good stereotypes." We was like, "What?" He's like, "Y'all can dance. Y'all got big penises. Da 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 da." And he was like, "Oh, you think we came up with all that?" And he was like, "Of course you did." And he was like, "No, no, no, no." And he went to his desk and he pulled out a old, like a slave poster, essentially, which is like them warning, white people warning essentially their wives. Because you know how they talk about like, and then this dude had children with one of his slave women. He was like, "You mean to tell me you think it was just the husbands going down there trying to get some blackness? Mm-mm. Their wives were going down there trying to get it too. And guess what? They didn't like that. So they made these posters. You know, their husbands would be away on business. They going down there getting the black stuff. And they made these posters that was like, don't do it. Don't mix yourself with these animals. They have giant penises like horses and they'll tear your insides up and you'll never be able to have babies again." And it was like, you know, back then, if you can't bear children, then like, as far as society, a lot of times even family is concerned, like you are worthless. You can't own nothing. You can't do nothing. If you can't bear children for a man, then like you can't essentially do anything in the world. And so that myth came about because white dudes was trying to stop their wives from sleeping with black men.
Wow.
And I can find some. There's like weird posters of it, and it was just so funny to me at the time because I was just in class with these black and white kids, and we would always go back and forth with them. I actually really liked that Black history class because a lot of them white kids wasn't afraid to say what they wanted to say, and a lot of it wasn't malicious. It was just like, "Welcome to history, bro. Like I'm gonna teach you what happened," and just silly stuff like that is like. That's what happened. That's how so much of our history goes. It's just like some white dude trying to rewrite something.
That's pretty much. I ain't going front, bro. That's a lot of it. That is definitely a lot of it.
Silly stuff.
And so there's a poll in the chat right now. So everybody go ahead and answer the poll. The poll is Pangea an acceptable name for a baby? I think Pangea would kind of be a cool name for a baby. It's almost like naming a baby Gaia or something like that, or like Earth. You know what I'm saying? And I believe in African names. Dunce is like, nah, bro.
I'm like, I'm not even gonna vote.
No.
Exactly. Because I'm probably just gonna say no.
Dunce like, hell no. I'd never name my baby nothing like that.
Pangea. When you although when you said it's like naming them Gaia, I was like,
we have 3 yeses.
That's pretty cool, but I wouldn't do it.
I mean, I would probably name my baby Gaia before Pangea, but yeah. I like the sound of Pangea.
Maybe if you had one already named Gaia, you could name another one Pangea.
Gaia and Pangea.
I don't think you can start with Pangea.
Yeah. For real. She said that the man who named himself Dunce.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Dunce,
right.
Dunce Apprentice from the story.
That's not my real name.
He's like,
ain't my government.
It could be my fake name.
Exactly. Pangea, your street name, whatever. That's fine. It's great.
That's hecka funny. So you can see the results of the poll?
I can see. I'm looking at it because I'm supposed to vote in it. I can see the results.
Oh wow. Okay, cool. Oh yeah. Hey, most people say yeah. Most people say yeah. They're like yeah.
Honestly, you got me with the Gaia argument, bro.
I mean, yo, Pangea and Gaia makes sense. Makes sense, bro. Makes
You
sense to
got me
me.
with the Gaia argument. So wait, what's going on here about Puerto Ricans? Somebody Puerto Rican?
Somebody was Puerto Rican. Somebody was like, they're like, I'm black, and they're like, I'm Puerto Rican now, but like, I still consider myself black. I mean, look, when it comes to Central and South American people, they got self-identify, bro. Okay.
Exactly. I can't do it for you.
I can't do it for you because only you know your history, and it's really about what you identify with because both could be in your bloodline. All right.
You can be a lot of things. That's the thing.
You can be a lot of things, bro.
That's what blackness is.
It is. It is. It is. Oh, that's what's up. My lady's gonna teach a rap class in 10 minutes, but yeah, that is definitely blackness, and it's it's just interesting how things have developed and how things have like come to a place where we're at right now, where we can be like, oh wow, where we can be like on a global scale again. Hey, shout out to Only One Ronin with them channel points. 100% of the people said yes, they would name their kids Pangea. So if in
They
20,
would name their kids
they
Pangea,
would name
or Pangea is an acceptable name.
Pangea is an acceptable name for a baby. Okay, that was Pangea is an acceptable name. It's like it's acceptable, but what I
Exactly. And no four people said they about to name
Like-
it Pangea.
like if my kids came by with their friend Pangea, I wouldn't be mad.
I think it was kind of cute. Still wouldn't name my kids that.
That's hecka funny. That's hecka funny. Your camera's a little bit blurry.
I
Okay, there it
realized
goes.
that. That's why I leaned in.
That's hecka funny. It's like, oh snap. Yeah, man, lights, bro. Lights. Like lights is like 100% of the work when it comes to camera work. Like, you want to do some good camera stuff? Get some good lights, bro. Get some good lights. Hey, so look, before we get up out of here, I think we can keep it going for another 15 minutes. Let's go ahead. Black Conscious Conversations called Black Talks. First time I'm opening it. Live on stream, man. Live on
I want to see it.
stream. So, it's little things called Real Talk. Black Consciousness Conversation. And 106, what it says on the back. It says, get the conversation going at the cookout, family dinner, or table, anywhere you want to gather. 106 thoughtful, difficult, and fun topics for you to talk about and improve your view on the world and the black community. 106 of these things. So we're gonna see, man. I'm gonna pull out a random, and then we're gonna go ahead and just shoot one.
Don't let it be nothing crazy.
I know. Okay, y'all. Look, just so y'all know it's random. Just so y'all know it's random. What we got? Okay. Boom. It says, oh, there's two. So maybe we can take a little vote real quick. How do we get large numbers of wealthy blacks, as well as those working class blacks, to invest together in ways to help black communities become more self-sufficient? Question. Hey, take care. I just left puzzles
Peace.
for a baby. And on the back,
That's a hard question.
yes, there's an easier question on the back, and that is, who is the #1 black music artist of all time? Those are like two completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Different levels of levity on that one.
For real.
Man, the best black artist of all time.
I'm gonna say Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson.
I don't even think I can do that.
The best black artist of all time.
Of all time. But that's the thing. It's like, of all time?
Of all time, bro.
I don't know, man.
That's so hard.
Oh no, I'm forgetting her name. I'm so ashamed.
Nina Simone?
No. Not that I am not repping Nina Simone. But
God, let's go with him.
the rock and roll, bro.
Oh, a woman?
This
Rock and roll?
This train.
Tina Turner?
Nah, bro. way back, way back. I'm talking way back.
Okay.
Rosetta Tharpe.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying we can go back. You
That's
know what
true.
I'm saying?
That's true.
I mean, we could go back farther than that, but like, come on, man. Rosetta Tharpe changed like white people's whole lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. You know about Rosetta? You know about Rosetta Tharpe, bro?
I don't know enough about Rosetta Tharpe.
Look up look up Rosetta Tharpe. She just like the queen of rock and roll, and it's not just me. I'll have to look it up. There's a lot of old white rock and roll heads that's like they're like, oh, who is your inspirations? And a lot of these like really classic rock and roll cats is like this dude, Rosetta Tharpe, this dude. And it's like she's just like old gospel, but it's like she got her guitar out and she be killing it, bro. You got to check her out. I'll send you. Just look up This Train, Rosetta Tharpe.
Okay, this train, Rosetta Tharpe. I will do that. And Hattie McDaniel. Hattie McDaniel was also a pioneer in acting.
And see, it's so many different ones, bro.
There is. I'm not gonna lie, and it's just like so many different ways you could think about the question.
Oh, speaking of which, one thing I did want to ask you, could we talk about black artists? Can we have you still doing movie nights?
Nah, I'm not doing movie nights.
Okay, then can we have a movie night?
Okay.
Where we watch some Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier. Yeah, I think we can do that. He's also one of the greatest black actors of all time. Okay, Mr. Sidney Poitier.
I've been trying to watch more of his stuff. I just want to go back.
And the thing about Sidney is that Sidney Poitier is that not only is he a good actor, like a really good actor actually, he put himself on the line, right, in supporting a lot of black movements. You know what I'm saying? Like being a part of them physically as well as financially. You know what I'm saying? He helped to fund certain movements and certain actions for Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? He was like, here's some funds, bro. I'm gonna give you some dough, bro. Because we need people on all sides of the spectrum to really come together.
And see, honestly, I don't really even know that much about him. That's part of the thing. It's like I wanted to watch some of his movies and know more about him because it's like people keep talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, I don't really know nothing about him.
Yeah, Sidney Poitier, he was like a really big civil rights activist. Like he was really like a powerful part of the civil rights movement. You know what I'm saying? Like he made lots of donations to a lot of different kind of like organizations and movements and actions. And like I said, it's important to have multiple sides of that kind of angle. So Sidney Poitier, come on, man.
Imagine, I don't know. Can you imagine being a black sex symbol in that time period?
Bro. Like it sounds like it would be impossible.
It seems impossible. Sometimes I look at him and I look at like the like time period or the stuff that he's on. And I'm like, how did you do it?
How, bro? Just flavor. They're like, he is irresistible. They're like, look, man, white women love him. Like, God darn it, not again.
White women love him, and white men hate that they love him.
And white men want to be him. We gotta put him on screen. He's gonna sell movies. He's like,
makes me upset, but he's just such a solid guy.
Our love of money trumps our love of whiteness again.
Right?
God darn it, capitalism.
We have to watch some of that, bro.
For sure, we definitely gotta watch some of that. And there's also one other artist, another music artist that I wanted to bring up, Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones, bro. Come on, man. Look, I'm gonna keep it 100% real. Black music would not be what it is today without Quincy Jones. Okay.
You don't have to put black in front of that, bro.
You're right. All music.
You don't even have to put black in front of that.
Music would not be the same, bro. Quincy Jones wrote some of the best songs ever. Classic after classic after classic after classic after classic after classic, boy. His music is timeless. You look, and Quincy Jones is the reason that we don't need words, man. Because you listen to a Quincy Jones like melody or something, you just feel exactly what he was feeling during the time. A whole story appears in your mind. You have vivid dreams that night. Okay, it unlock your inner chi.
J-Box was telling me about when he was taking music classes. it was talking about the different types of producers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, there's this type of producer, and there's a magician, and there's this guy, and then there's this guy, and they all have different things that they're particularly good at. And the
Mm-hmm.
last one was just Quincy Jones.
He's good at everything.
They just everything. He can
Like,
do everything perfectly.
he can, bro. He really can. Like his production skills, like I'm wowed by the kind of music that he makes. And when you get into music and you listen to it and like I don't know, like you kind of like break apart the individual elements and you start to hear the nuance in the music. I'm like, bro, how did you even think of this? It's like it's one thing, right, to get into a room with 5 musicians and then have them all create a piece of the music and then you got something that's beautiful, right? That's impressive alone. But for that same piece to be created by one person by themselves, that's a whole nother level.
The other thing that got me about his description too was like, it would be like, you know, the producer that's more on the engineering side, the producer that's more on the production side, it's like better at guiding artists. And then there was one called the magician, which was like, he don't really do nothing, but like when he's in the room, everybody is in a good mood. Like music happens when this person is in the room. Nobody really knows what they do, but they help create a space that you can only get like you get the best music in, you know? And it's like, man, you do all of that. Not only are you skilled at what you do,
Exactly.
back, forward, side, left, and right, but you also got the immaculate energies to
Exactly.
just lift everybody up with the type of person you are.
Hey, yo, and that's you know what? So I'll take it back, bro. Quincy Jones. That's my vote for greatest black artist of all time because I'm getting chills just even thinking about him. And we got a comment in the chat. Only One Ronin says that film is limited to from its full potential. He says to its full potential in a lot of ways because of racism. And I agree. I think music is different than film, right? Because like music in a way, music had a earlier start than film did. Music was around before film and they already used black people for music, right? And so it's like them listening to black music was not as foreign as them watching actual black people on the TV, right? Even when movies first came out, they made stories about black people, but with no black people in them. Okay, they were black facing it up, but they were still listening to black music at the same time. They were like, we love black music because we don't got to see no black faces while we listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
And then when they did have there was the thing that tripped me out. I was watching something and it was like, then when they did have black people in them, it was black people imitating white people, imitating black people.
Exactly. It's like, these are the only roles we will allow you to have. But we sure do love that jazz. we wish we could make it, but we can't, so we getting you here. All right.
So crazy.
So like, as long as we can keep black people out of black roles, we will. But we just can't get enough of that black music.
It's so good. Who taught you that?
I God darn it. we Ma Rainey's Black Bottom strikes again.
we hid it from y'all in Negro spirituals for so long.
Exactly. And the other thing I think about music that makes it dope, and I'm gonna say something like really kind of out there for a second, and then we'll bring it back. Right. The out there thing is that in the Egyptian or Kemet mysteries, right? After they learn math and science and astrology and all the sciences of the world and of the universe, right? The last thing that they would learn was music, because in music you can take two things that are normally in disharmony, like a note, like two notes specifically, right, that are on opposite ends of the spectrum, that are opposing to each other, and you can play them in a way that creates its own harmony, that creates a new harmony, right, and that creates a new sound, right? And so for them, like, music was the ultimate like representation of all of the knowledge of the world and all of your understanding and your wisdom from your studies, you know, and it really like spoke to them in that way, and it really spoke to like all of the theories that you can come up with around it, and from there you could potentially work backwards, right? That's the out there thing. The more like concrete thing is that music in this country traditionally has been about a wealth of topics that are really enlightening to people, right? But not everybody really hears it. And that's kind of a good thing because you can put something right there out there in the front, and people who know what's up gonna know what's up. All right, and people who don't know what's up, they just gonna shake their butts. And I'm like, man, this song is so clean. It makes me feel so good. But then the other people are like, oh my god, it's a message. You want me to meet you down there by the riverbank at 12:30?
So much of that, but it's so like people that don't know where capoeira comes from. Like I love telling them about it. You know what I'm saying? Like you know how that started.
Yeah, yeah, in Brazil,
That is so raw.
and
Like
that's a big part of our history.
you was just like, I'ma make this fighting look like dancing. And when I get done dancing, I'm messing y'all up.
Exactly.
Revolution is coming.
From a dance, they come over there. Hey man, what y'all Negroes doing over there? Hey, we just dancing over here. That's all. Dancing by the campfire. All right, sounds about right. Negroes love to dance.
Exactly.
And then the next day you getting your ass whooped. You're like, God darn it. Damn this disco.
That is wild. Like who? Oh no, man. Like
It's ingenuity, bro.
has anybody else done that in the? Because there's a lot of things that we share as communities. You know, like as communities in the world. Like there's certain things. It's like everybody has meat inside of bread, or generally everybody has like some depiction of a dragon, or you know, some fire breathing lizard. Like we share a lot of things. But it's like, man, like hidden combat dancing.
Yo.
It's just like I feel like that's black people be doing stuff like that where it's just like, and then we had to hide everything we did,
Of
and
course
then when
we
we
did.
stopped hiding it, it was fantastic. It was fantastic before that, but nobody could know. Only we.
Exactly. So I had to keep it on the DL, but now people can know. But there's still things that are hidden in plain sight. Anyways,
So
only one Rona has a comment, and we're gonna officially actually get to this game. We're gonna play Space Lords. So my man's Nora King, if you still here, bro, load up that Xbox. Get ready for some Space Lords because it's coming. We're gonna all meet in the Discord after this. But our last comment is we couldn't get our hands on a camera till it was on a phone. Not in some kind in a mass way, right? So I want to say there is a company. There's a company in, I believe, Nigeria, right? And they're making movies, like short films, on cell phones, right? And it's like it's growing bigger and bigger, and even Hollywood is recognizing the quality of the films that they're making simply using cell phones, right? And that goes back to the ingenuity of black folks. But another thing, and we were talking about history a lot today on this channel. Another thing is that black people actually have had a big hand in film, in the film industry, really starting off like in the early 60s, but it popped off like in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? With people like Richard Pryor coming out and being able to be producers on shows, right? And that was like one of the first times like a black man. I think it was the first time a black man had his own show, like for real. I think there was a couple other shows. There was one other show besides the Richard Pryor show, but there was no other show like Richard Pryor show. You know what I'm saying? Where he had really full control, and that was the first time a black man had full control of the show himself. And since then, you've had numerous companies rise up and become powerful black film companies. Like Eddie Murphy produced a lot of his own films, right? Robert Townsend, Tinseltown Productions, they produce a lot of their own films. The Wayans brothers produce a lot of their own films as well. Tyler Perry does that. Oprah has her own network, you know? And we're really at this point in history starting to become a bigger part of the film industry, you know? And we're really getting like a lot more control. Spike Lee, I'm so sorry, I forgot about that. Spike Lee produced a lot of his own films, but we're getting a lot more control over our own films and over the ability to produce films. And you know, films, I think, is a little different than music because in a lot of ways it's more expensive up front to produce, and I think a lot of it in the film industry are financial barriers, right? Like you got to have somebody who's going to front you the money to pay for all of the stuff, all of the equipment up front, you know. Whereas in the music industry, the company's going to produce the thing, You know what I'm saying? The company's gonna produce the record, they'll sell the record, then they pay you as an artist, right? With the film production company, with film production, you got to get like a funder to pay for the stuff. Then you gotta get a production company. You gotta pay a production company to produce the stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta pay X, Y, and Z for all the other steps in that process. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there were more barriers to entry when it came to film than there was for music, from a financial kind of standpoint. Do you have any last words on that?
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. No, I mean, we was doing a lot of stuff beforehand, but um, like you said Richard Pryor, but I'm pretty sure there was something before that.
Yeah, there was another black show before that. It was like a kind of like a night show kind of thing, but
So I thought,
yeah, like led by a black dude, and that was like the first time that like a black dude actually had his own show. But Richard Pryor was like the lead, and he had like full control over what the show was, and that was like a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? And like he didn't have to cater to white people at that point. And but he was canceled. They were like, we can't do this. Just too much freedom for blacks. He was having way too much fun. Just can't do it. But I mean, it happened, right? And it was still a big thing. And Richard Pryor helped to change the film game for black folks. But there are others as well. I cannot recall the brother's name, and I'm not gonna try and butcher it. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna be back here in a few moments, probably like 5 to 10. As we get this thing set up, we're gonna be playing some Space Lords. We're gonna have my man Noir King on the line. Okay, Dunce hates this game, but it's okay. It is okay. So y'all stay tuned, and y'all go ahead. Y'all come back now here, but hit that follow button, hit that subscribe. Y'all know what it do, man. And it's
hey, peace, bro.
peace.